Here's my beautiful collection of Flannery O'Connor short stories, and this is an excerpt from one called A Good Man is Hard to Find. The grandmother didn't want to go to Florida. She wanted to visit some of her connections in East Tennessee, and she was seizing at every chance to change Bailey's mind. Bailey was the son she lived with, her only boy. He was sitting on the edge of his chair at the table, bent over the orange sports section of the journal. "Now look here, Bailey," she said. "See here, read this." And she stood up with one hand on her thin hip and the other rattling the newspaper at his bald head. "Here, this fella that calls himself the Misfit is loose from the federal pen and headed toward Florida, and you read here what it says he did to all those people. Just you read it. I wouldn't take my children in any direction with a criminal like that loose in it. I couldn't answer to my conscience if I did." Bailey didn't look up from his reading, so she wheeled around then and faced the children's mother, a young woman in slacks whose face was as broad and innocent as a cabbage, and was tied around with a green head kerchief that had 2 points on the top like a rabbit's ears. She was sitting on the sofa feeding the baby his apricots out of a jar. "The children have been to Florida before," the old lady said. "You all ought to take 'em somewhere else for a change so they'd see different parts of the world and be broad. They've never been to East Tennessee." The children's mother didn't seem to hear her, but the 8-year-old boy, John Wesley, a stocky child with glasses, said, "If you don't want to go to Florida, why don't you stay at home?" He and the little girl, June Starr, were reading the funny papers on the floor. "She wouldn't stay at home to be queen for a day," June Starr said without raising her yellow head.